What is going on, everybody? We are back with the second episode of Cody Marshmallow's Indie Showcase. I am joined here by Steven, the developer, the only developer? Are you the only developer?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, I saw that there was some guy that does some artwork for you, no? I think he's in our
Yeah.
Discord.
Pixel Ultimate occasionally donates models,
Okay.
but he's not like a full-on developer, really.
Gotcha. Okay. So anyway, I am joined here with Steven, the only developer of his title, The Wall. So Steven, if you just want to talk a little bit about who you are, your past in game development and things of the nature, so let the people know what you're all about.
Well, in terms of my past, I started off in high school. A couple of my mates just walked up to me one day and was like, "Hey, let's make a game and we'll put it on Steam for $10." Somewhat naive approach to game development at the time. But that's basically what started me off in it.
Interesting.
So like I started off in CryEngine 3
Okay.
because I thought that was the best engine at the time because Crysis was a pretty game.
Right. That's hard to argue with.
Yeah. And we started developing something that right now looks a hell of a lot like a Battle Royale game, but before Battle Royale was a thing, really.
Right.
We never called it Battle Royale. We called it Hunger Games with guns.
Okay.
But it's the same concept, really. We called that game Relinquished, which was just a fancy word we found in the thesaurus one day and thought that's a good title.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, that was what I was working on for like 2.5 years.
Oh wow.
Basically, the latter half of high school for me.
Wow.
It didn't really get much further than the world, though, because I couldn't actually program in CryEngine.
That's definitely an issue.
Yeah.
Definitely can present some things.
I mean, CryEngine had programming in it already, so it was very similar to Crysis, really.
Right.
Just with different guns. But yeah, basically I just made open worlds in CryEngine for like 4 years.
That's pretty sweet. And so
yeah,
did that kind of lead you into your current project then? A little bit?
It did. So after Relinquished, I moved on to an RPG that some guy wanted me to make. It was like a Final Fantasy remake or something, and it's like, you don't have the rights for that, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'll make you an open world because I like doing it.
Yeah, might as well.
But as you could imagine, that project fell through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I kept working on the map of it though for like a year after the project fell through. It was just my own thing at that point.
Right.
And eventually, I started getting this idea for the wall. Like it just started off as this idea of like, imagine like a fantasy world that's got this just massive, mysterious wall that's just towering over you at all times. It's just this ever-present thing.
Right.
Like pretty much wherever you are in the world, you can see this thing because it's just so huge, and no one knows what's on the other side. I thought that was a very fascinating idea. Like you could build a story around that.
Oh yeah.
But nothing really came of it for about a year because I couldn't really do much in CryEngine. Sure. So it all really kicked off when one day I thought I could I could fake some of the mechanics of Skyrim in CryEngine. Like I could make a basic dialogue system and like fake quests and things. And I ended up making sort of a replica of Riverwood in Skyrim, if you're familiar with that village.
I am.
And that was basically the first prototype for the wall. That's how it started off. And then I looked at Unreal and realized, holy shit, I can make so much more in this.
Yeah.
Like, CryEngine is great for world design, but not much else. Like, even modeling for it is a pain in the ass. Like, they have their own file extension for meshes, so you can't just drag in an FBX.
That's very annoying.
You gotta go. You have to use like 3ds Max or Maya, and you got to use their plugin to convert it into their format. And it's like, this is too confusing. I can't figure this out.
It's not a very seamless workflow, it seems like.
No, it's not. And then I look at Unreal, and it's like, oh, just go into Blender, export it as an FBX, and drag it in. Yeah. Easy, done.
Pretty easy.
Cool.
It's definitely a nice feature. Yeah.
Making UI in CryEngine was a pain as well. Like, you had to do it in Adobe Flash CS5. Like, it had to be CS5.
Oh no!
Because they used ActionScript 2, and CS6 didn't have support for that.
Right.
So you had to use an outdated program to make your UI.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is horrible. And you look at Unreal, and you can do all of this in Engine. I've made all of my UI in the engine.
Right.
So that won me over pretty quick.
Yeah. But I'm sure you had some problems. Like, everything you did previously was in CryEngine. I'm sure you had some trials and tribulations getting used to Unreal.
Oh yeah. They're very different engines in terms of how you use them.
Right.
Like something as simple as painting textures on a terrain, I couldn't figure out at first. I was like, how the hell do you do this? I tried applying an actual texture to the landscape, and it just like tiles it weirdly. It was horrible and embarrassing.
It can be a lot to get used to, that's for sure. I mean, like, as the saying normally goes, when you're dealing with like game design, is that generally the most powerful tools are the most difficult ones to learn, because they throw so much at you at the start that it can be a bit overwhelming. Excuse me. So like, for example, I've been trying to learn Blender a little bit for one of our projects, and it's just like, Blender is by far the most powerful modeling software at this point.
Yeah.
But it's a pain in the ass to learn.
There's a lot of shortcuts to learn.
Yeah, shortcuts are the big thing. Oh, sorry, there's a train. I apologize for that.
I get that too. I hate trains, man. They're always blasting their horn.
It's 2018. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, we should have hover trains by now.
Yeah, something. Elon, get on it, dude.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, why don't you talk about that transition a little bit, like your first, couple months with Unreal, and talk about from where you were then to where you are now, and kind of that process, I guess.
Well, so several times throughout developing in CryEngine, I was faced with an opportunity to actually learn Unreal, and I refused to do it. And it's like, no, that's going to take forever.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'd been using CryEngine for like 3 years, and I figured, it's going to take me another 3 years to learn Unreal.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to do that. So I refused to do it for a while. But when I started, I was like, this is actually pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of the controls are the same, but a lot of things are very different. Like,
right.
It's like learning. It's like learning a language that's like similar to English, but it's not English.
But not, yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know if there's a language that exists that's like that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Um, I was really afraid to do it though, because I was leaving all of my work behind
yeah,
to start again. It's just completely blank canvas,
right.
and I
Can be a
know
lot.
nothing. I don't know what I'm doing.
And it's
And I
especially, yeah, it's a big jump, especially like from your story. Like you've done something for 3 years, and like, excuse me, it's kind of worked. You know what I mean? Like it's worked for what it
hmm,
is, but
yeah,
can be better. That's always the big thing too. Is like I haven't experienced the same issue as you. We've used Unreal from the get go, but sometimes you'll be doing something, and then like 2 months later you'll have this whole knowledge base and be like, I need to literally redo this entire system. uh
yeah. That's
Kyle, how's it going?
that's
Sorry.
kind of what my latest devlog's been about, actually. I had gameplay and AI,
Right.
but they were terrible. Like, if I made a child blueprint of an AI, that AI just wouldn't work. I couldn't
Yeah.
figure that out for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I had to go in and redo a lot of the blueprint. I still got to redo pretty much most of it. But yeah,
it,
it
it it can be a bit fickle, like
definitely.
it's one of those things though that, like, don't get me wrong, I don't claim to be good. My roommate, the other guy that's working on on this project with me, he's phenomenal. Like I have a question, he just knows the answer. You know what I mean? He's that kind of person. But like it's one of those things that once you get good at it, you're just like everything else just seems to come easy from how like he describes it. But
Yeah. So like when I started off, I couldn't. Like, I wanted an interaction system. Like, I wanted to be able to walk up to an NPC, press F, and like something would happen.
yeah,
I couldn't figure out how to even do that to begin with.
yeah.
But like somewhere down the line, I it was when I was doing a tutorial or something. It just all just clicked for me. I was like, oh, I get it. I know how this all works. Like, when you use a cast node, like you cast
Hmm.
to a different blueprint. I was like, I can never figure out what you plug into that.
yeah,
Like, what do you target with a cast node? I was like googling, what do you put into this, and they'd never tell you because it's
yeah,
like, context sensitive.
yeah,
But once I figured that out, things got a lot easier
right,
because now I can actually use blueprints properly.
right.
And it blew my mind once it clicked for me. It was
That's
like,
the
oh
thing, yeah.
damn,
Once it
I
clicks,
can
it's
make
just
a game.
right. Once it clicks, it just rolls. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But then you're rolling, and then, like I said, you come back a month later, and you're like, "This is all horrible. It seems so good at the time,
yeah,
but it's actually garbage. Like, what is going on?" Luckily,
yeah.
I
Like,
don't have many things to worry about. I mostly do like artwork and stuff, like UI
mm,
design and stuff like that. So like performance isn't really an issue. Like it can be bad as long as it looks
yeah.
good. You know what I mean? Sorry, I have a question in chat. Who's this guy? This is Steven. So kind of the point of this show is indie showcase. So we bring on developers and studios, smaller developers and studios, um, chat with them about their projects, their past, stuff like that. So, yep. Also, I guess while I'm interrupting our conversation, thanks for the follows from. It's not even updating, but I got the emails. Um, we got a few. um, Gavin Buckmeyer is ugly. Old Bucky, Jewel Meister Chop, Salmons01, and Frost Crit. Thank you guys for the follows.
Very good usernames.
Yeah, phenomenal. Like four of those guys are friends from college. I was spamming them all day. Like, you guys need to come watch the
All
stream.
right,
Thanks. So made them all make Twitch accounts and follow me and watch. So, but
man. Usernames can come to haunt you, can't they?
that's true. Uh, I hope I
I'm
didn't.
stuck being called Joe Kickass.
it's it was really funny when I like at first like when I first saw your YouTube channel and then like I found your email or whatever. I was like, wait, his name's Steven? It was
Yeah.
all so confusing, but I was like, it's cool though. It
So
gives you
so
a
I have a
good.
video on my channel that actually explains the username.
Oh really?
It's an obscure Simpsons reference that like no one I've ever come across actually gets.
Should we watch it? Is it a long
Oh,
video?
we can. No, it's only like a minute. It's called
Okay.
The Origin of Joe.
Oh, dude, let's watch it. 100%, if you don't mind.
No, we
We're
can do that.
diverting from the
I mean,
conversation,
adds
but
context.
yeah, it's useful. The origin of Joe. Okay, let's see here. Um, oh, which one do we want? We want this one. This one. Okay. Oh yeah, it's like 30 seconds.
I don't know if we got audio.
Marge is sure gonna be steamed when she finds you missing.
Or dead.
Gentlemen, sometimes a man must put his marriage at risk for reasons that are confusing even to him.
You're sneaking out to fight that bear. I want to go too.
No way. If something happens to me, you have to carry on the Simpson name.
Screw that. When I grow up, I'm legally changing my name to Joe Kickass.
Oh,
So cool.
just like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty sweet. That's very sweet. I'm not a Simpsons
like-
watcher, but
Oh,
Yeah.
10-year-old me saw that and thought, that's awesome.
That's badass.
I'm all about this. This is my thing for like the next decade.
Yeah, might as well, dude. I think it's good. Has a story behind it at least. My story behind my name is literally. I'm thinking one day. I'm trying to find a name, right? I'm like, Marshmallow sounds like my last name. Might as well, and that's just what I rolled with.
Easy.
From the inception of Twitter, when I made my Twitter account, that was the name, and I was like, this is gold. Like this is great.
Yeah.
Everyone in chat, like all my buddies from college, like I vape or whatever, right? And they're just like, blow clouds, like ask me questions about vaping. How about you ask a question to our developer here, okay? Let me kind of geeking me out. I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus, but they're just cracking me up right now. Gosh, what were we even talking about? I lose track so quickly. We were just kinda
I think we were talking about
Unreal.
learning Unreal.
Yeah. So like what
Like-
did you find useful when you were trying to learn Unreal? Like was it YouTube videos? Was it just kind of doing it, just getting in there and figuring it out?
A lot of it was tutorials at the start. Like this whole game is actually based on a tutorial. Like at least the inventory system is.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to do one of those. That was like the holy grail of coding for me because you could not do that in CryEngine.
Right.
CryEngine had like a very basic coding system that you could script AI and stuff with,
Okay.
but you could not do an inventory system. I wanted that for so long, but it was just not possible. And I did it within a week on Unreal,
Yeah.
and that just blew my mind. And that was the moment I was like, I'm gonna make a game. Like this is it. I'm gonna make a proper game with gameplay, and it's
Yeah.
not just gonna be a world.
Well, that's really sweet. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Like sometimes you just have these revelations, and you're like, "This is what I'm meant to be doing," and then for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
you're like trying to learn something, and you're like, "Why did I think this was a good idea?" Right.
Yeah, I was very ambitious at the start. I thought, like my plan was, I'd probably have a prototype, like a working prototype, within 6 months, and that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's
So I
the thing is.
I
too-
underestimated how long it would take.
Yeah, I feel like everyone does. Like everyone, well, because at the start too, you kind of have like a baseline for what you want in a game, and then as you start to add more things, you're like, oh, but this would be really cool. Oh, but this would be really cool. Oh, let's do this
Yeah.
too. You know, so it just kind of compiles. And then also on top of that, you just get like, you know, the whole redoing things that slows you down and finding a better way to do things that slows you down, stuff like that.
Yeah, see, like, if I do wonder sometimes if it would be better if I started over again, at least with the code, because like I was developing this game as I was learning. There was like maybe a 2-week period where I was not working on this game but learning.
Yeah.
But everything else was I was learning as I was going, and it's definitely caused issues for the game, because now I've got, you know, code with, like, it'd be code made by a guy who's used Unreal for a month, so it's not great.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of the nature of the beast, though. I mean, especially when you're a small studio, you know, you're one person, we're two, you know.
Yeah.
First person. We'll be watching some, like, a trailer and some gameplay in a little bit, so save your questions.
Is he asking if it's...
He's asking if your game's first person. Yeah.
Well, it's boast. Boast? Both.
Boost.
Boast.
Yeah.
It's both first and third person.
So
I can't English today.
it can be rough. I mean, I'm from America, and it can be rough. So, you know, but
I'm running on like 5 hours of sleep as well.
Yeah. When we were talking, I guess this morning, and you were just like, I'm still awake. I'm rendering this YouTube video. I'm like, I'm trying to think. So for people that don't know, he's in Australia. So this was very hard to set up, right? Like,
yeah,
it's 1 p.m. for him. It's, or what is it now? I don't know.
1:23.
Right. It's 9:54 here, right? So it's kind of a hassle to set up a little bit, especially with my work schedule. But yeah, and I was like, wait a minute. He's like way ahead of me. Like, what's...
Yeah, I live in the future.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. It's kind of crazy how that works, I guess. But
it's like it's Wednesday for you and it's Thursday here.
Right. It's pretty crazy.
I know everything that's going to happen.
Do you? Is that how that works?
Yes.
That's pretty sweet, dude. Teach me your tricks.
No, well, part of being Australian, we're not allowed to tell anyone who lives in the past what's going to happen, because it will just blow up the planet.
Right.
You know,
you'll get that paradox.
Explosion.
Yeah.
It's like dividing by zero. You can't do it.
Can't do it. Okay, so something else, I guess, that we can jump into, and save some of the game talk for a little bit later. Do you want to talk about your YouTube career, I guess we'll call it? It is Wednesday, my dudes, indeed. But yeah, do you want to talk about your YouTube career a little bit? Kind of what you do over there?
Sure. So YouTube's been kind of weird. Like, it started off as just me uploading like a time lapse, because when I was still in school, I would waste a lot of time by showing my friends like videos that I recorded. Like, I'd take it in on a hard drive and play it on the computers there. But once I left school, I didn't really have a way to do that other than YouTube. So that was the first video that I put up that was from Relinquished.
Right.
And you know, there was a few other videos. I did like a trailer video, Final Fantasy game.
Mm-hmm.
I made a Battlefield clone in CryEngine. So it was like a replica of Wake Island from Battlefield. That was actually probably the best thing I ever made in CryEngine. And yeah, like, just writing off those few videos, I got like 100 subs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I was looking at it one day and I was like, oh, damn. People are subscribing. I better make a video, you know, because like now things are getting serious. We got 100 subscribers.
Right.
And that was when I did the the CryEngine RPG prototype,
Mm-hmm.
which was basically the genesis of the wall.
Right. So I'm showing off your YouTube here. So
Yeah. So and then things started taking off quite a bit because I was releasing monthly dev blogs. I actually stuck to a schedule for a bit. And it was pretty easy to start off with because a lot of things were happening in the first few months
right.
that you could talk about. But I get lazy, and it's like I can't be bothered putting out another video.
Yeah.
Like this year, I've only put out 3. I think I put out 4 last year in like rapid succession. But like the channel, sort of relatively speaking, blew up. I mean, it didn't get massive, but it gained a few hundred more subscribers, and by the end of last year, I think I was at 600. Which is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how I'm doing it. It just sort of happens.
Well, as the saying goes, if you're talented at something, people will be interested.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing's been very experimental. Like
right.
I really don't feel like I have a set formula, especially for the dev blogs. If you actually go back and watch like the whole series, they're all very inconsistent. The first couple are like scripted. I have like a separate room it's like detached from the house that I went out to record, and I'm like underneath my pool table because it's like the least echoey under there.
Yeah.
And I'm recording it with my headset, and it just sounds awful. And like I'm reading it off of like a rendered version of the video that has the script over it, which is just a terrible way of doing a script.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's great. That's phenomenal.
And like I try to throw comedy in there, although I don't plan for it. Like I try to make them funny so they're interesting to people who don't care so much about game development.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of people sort of fail to make game development interesting.
It's definitely tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who make otherwise pretty good content, but are just kind of humorless about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very serious and professional, and it's like, I'm doing this as a hobby, man. Like, I don't need to be super professional. This ain't a job interview.
Right, exactly. And on top of that, I mean, I feel like you benefit from that too. Where it's just kind of like, listen, this is what I'm doing, thanks for watching. Basically. That's something that we struggled with. So my partner, he was working on a lot of stuff in Blueprint, right? Kind of at the start of our last project. And we ran into a lot of issues where it's like, okay, yeah, he wants to sit down and like he's working on this stuff for like 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. And people, we had done like a podcast before that and like kind of used that as like a launching point, right, for like our studio. And like, it was framed like it was a game discussion podcast. Peep the trailer on the wall and it looked nice as fuck. Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you.
It looks very good. So definitely give him a sub while you're there. But part of the problem with that too is like you run into a lot of issues trying to make Blueprint interesting for 6 hours, right? So once you built that community and people are like, we want to see, they quickly realized that they didn't even really want to see it. And it was actually surprising because we found a lot more success in C++ in Unreal streams, which is very strange. Like we kind of assumed to be the opposite, right? Like people like visual, right? But no.
Maybe it's because like C++ is not exclusive to Unreal, so like programmers may be interested in it.
Yeah.
Whereas Blueprint is just, it's a smaller demographic of people, I guess.
Very true. And I still feel like Twitch is not a great place for like development videos or streams and stuff like that in its current state. I still think that general population exists on Reddit and YouTube primarily.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about doing Twitch streams. Like I've watched a few streams of people working on Skyrim mods, and there's something about that that I'd like to do, but I've never gotten around to it really.
Yeah.
And also, it'd be kind of awkward if nobody watched it. You know, it's just like I'm sitting there at a stream, not like I'm working, but occasionally some random will pop in for like a minute, look at what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and then leave.
That's kind of the tough part for me too. Like obviously I do this, which like it's just constant. Thank you. It's just like constant interaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if someone just clicked on this stream, they hear us talking. You know what I mean? Whereas like when I just do like gameplay or something like that, like if I'm playing like an adventure game, I'm not necessarily, you know, if there are points when I don't have anyone watching, I'm not going to be like super engaged and like whatever. And that can be kind of a strange thing. That was part of the idea for me starting this series was like, what can I do? Like, what do I have any skills that would be like beneficial to other people? Because that's kind of my main thing was like, if this does well, right, it benefits a lot of people. Hopefully, right? Sorry, 1 second. I was getting a drink. But yeah, like a lot of the problems you run into is how do you entertain someone when you're coding, when you're doing something that like, you know, like cognitively it takes so many resources, and then trying to interact with, you know, a whole range of different people that might be coming in and, you know, asking what language this is, you know, from that guy to the guy that like does this professionally for 20 years and just wants to watch someone. You know, you have this whole range, and there's a lot of things that arise, and it depends on the person. You know, like streaming in general, you have to be the right kind of person to do it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, see, like in terms of streaming, I don't know about coding, but I think level design would probably be a lot more interesting.
yes,
Like, because like that's visual, people can see levels,
mm-hmm.
and I think it's pretty fascinating to see levels in their infancy.
Yeah,
You know, before they've been fully polished and stuff, and you get to see it get put together. That kind of thing would make a good stream.
right.
Whenever I show Blueprint, it's often, I mean, my sort of unofficial slogan for my channel is everything looks better in a time lapse.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's just like, you know, 8 hours of coding, I'll just condense into like 8 seconds, and it's
Right.
like, whoa, look at all the progress he just made. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a part of a human that's like, I want to see the result, but I kind of just want to see it now, and it looks really cool when it's fast, you know.
yeah. So like a lot of my videos are time lapse. Like even some of the dev blogs have time lapses in them, and like the first several videos that I made were time lapses.
Right.
And I don't know. Some people get really angry at me for like some of my early time lapses because they think they're tutorials. You know, like you get people commenting like, "Oh, can I have the video not sped up?" I was like, "Dude, that's like 8 hours of footage."
It's
and
like
I have
you pay
Australian
for that.
internet. I can't upload that.
It's like how much do you want to pay? Like
Yeah.
at that point, honestly, because that was another thing too that we kind of like realized is like, okay, we want to stream this, right? How much do we want people to know? Like if this game gets released, we don't want the entire project out there, and that was really like what stopped that channel's kind of productions. We're just like, we want this to be a surprise. We don't want people to know every facet of our game before it comes out. You know,
that was a big problem for the wall actually, because like the initial idea was just sort of the other side of the wall is completely mysterious. I don't want anyone to know what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
But the more I sort of developed the idea of the game, the more I realized that at some point you're going to cross over the wall. You're going to see what's on the other side. And that's going to be about half of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can market just half of the game.
Right.
You know, I can't keep that a secret because it's so integral to everything the game is about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is a shame because I think it would have been like a brilliant reveal when you cross over the wall and you see what's on the other side.
Right.
But I don't think it would be doable unless you marketed it as like it's like, oh, you know, it's just a fantasy game. You know, there's no sci-fi elements at all, you know. But then, boom, there's sci-fi. And as soon as a review comes out, they spoil that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, too.
Or like any gameplay at all, you're going to find out. It's just like, it's not a secret. You could keep, it's like, you know, trying to keep the ending to Empire Strikes Back a secret.
Right.
It's impossible. You can't do it because it was such a good twist. So like, I feel like most of the good twists have been spoiled especially in movies. You know, like The Sixth Sense, you know, Empire Strikes Back, all that.
Absolutely.
Like it's so ingrained into pop culture that even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably know the ending.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
It's unfortunate.
Because like, it'd be great if you experienced that for the first time.
Yeah.
And you didn't know it was coming.
Agreed. It's part of it's the nature of the beast. Like how much do people actually want to be left up to imagination, you know?
Yeah.
But
well,
also,
it's like, if I had my way, I would have you not know anything about the game at all, really, apart from fantasy RPG. Boom.
Right.
In the game, find out the rest for yourself. But I can't do that.
Right.
You got to know something about it, or else you just don't care.
Yeah, that's very fair. It's kind of annoying just how like everything sits in general right now, because it's like if you want to make an RPG that's just left up to imagination, like you don't know until you click play, you're gonna have a real problem selling it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, the best you could hope for is if you made a game like that the word of mouth advertising is, you have to play this game, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
Yeah.
But like, there's always going to be that one asshole who's like going to spoil the ending for you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's video game culture. Like, there's dozens and dozens of websites dedicated to posting reviews about games, right? It's just like, it's what they do.
And like, the longer you leave it, the more likely it's going to happen that it's going to get spoiled. Like, within the first week, maybe you could get away with it.
Right.
But once it's been out for a year or 2 years, everyone's going to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? You know, it's one of those things. I guess you just got to try to take in stride and figure out the recipe, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still going to keep some things secret.
Oh, yeah. You have to. Yeah.
Gonna be, and like, there's other parts of it as well. Like, you don't want people to know how you made your game. In some points, like, you know, there are some things I'd rather keep secret.
Right.
Just so people don't rip you off, really. I mean, like, I cut like a whole part of my dev blog out where I explained the code for the AI. Because I was really proud of it, but then I sort of stopped for a moment and thought, one, this is probably going to be boring to a lot of people, and two, people are going to start ripping me off. You know, they're going to start copying. So I ended up cutting it, unfortunately, even though I was really proud of it.
That's one of those things too, is like, people would abuse that, right? Like if you know how AI is coded, you can find exploits. You know, so again, it's that balance. Like, what do we keep secret and what makes it look good? And that's why cinematic trailers are like the thing now, because that's like the best balance, is you see this beautiful world and have some, like, you know, really nice music and whatever, but you don't necessarily know that much about it.
Yeah,
That can
it's,
be
you
hit or
can, you
miss.
get to keep a lot of things mysterious, like both the programming
Right.
and the story.
Yep. Which some people have problems with that though too, because it's like I want to see what the game actually plays like, but then you have the other side of the argument where people are like, I want to just, is it going to be fun? Does it look cool? You know, you have people on each
Mhm.
side. You can't please everyone. So
Yeah, like there's plenty of people who get hyped up from a cinematic trailer.
right.
Personally, I look at them and go, well, that's great, but what does the game look like?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, like Obsidian recently
Oh.
announced their Outer Worlds trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called? The Outer Worlds?
I believe
It's Fallout in space, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the right name though.
Their first announcement was like basically just a cinematic trailer. There was like some things that might be gameplay. I was like, you know, they're a good studio and this looks interesting, but what's the game look like?
Yeah.
I want to see, you know, like it's an RPG. It's not going to be a movie.
Right.
So like what you're showing me isn't really
Mm-hmm.
representing.
And then
The
hell,
game.
even with gameplay trailers, half the time they're using cinematics to like frame it
Yeah.
and make it look good. Like,
I mean, I suppose I'm a bit of a hypocrite with this because I make cinematic trailers, but
hey,
I don't know.
I'm on the side. I like cinematic trailers for games, movies. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but for games, I'm a fan because I'm on the side of things. I want everything to be a secret. I want to experience the game.
I think there's an art to it. Really, like you got to be able to tell some kind of story
Yep.
that isn't the story that it's advertising, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You have to
Like,
get those underlying, like.
I think a good
focal
example,
points.
going to movie trailers, compare like the trailers that came out for Avengers Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
That basically told the entire story of Age of
Yeah.
Ultron.
Yeah.
Look at the trailer that recently came out for Avengers Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
It's much better because all it does is tell you about basically the aftermath of Infinity War. It's the first act of the movie, and it tells a decent story. It sets up the movie. I want to go watch it now.
Yeah.
This is like this. You got to figure out what kind of story you're going to tell with a trailer.
Definitely.
I mean, there's part of me that doesn't want to be a game developer. I want to be like a director, but I'm probably not ever going to be a director. But this is a good substitute for that because I can sort of make little cinematics for my game.
Yeah.
Like I was planning to make one now, but I sort of realized it's basically just going to look like the last trailer I made because I haven't got any new locations from that trailer.
Right.
So I want to spruce up the open world and make a few more things before I do that.
Yeah, understandable. They're asking in chat if you can see these messages, and I'm just like, no.
I can.
Oh, you can? Oh, I have screen share on.
You've been screen sharing this whole time.
I lied, chat. I lied. You can. I completely forgot. But yeah, I mean that's the tough part though too, right? Like when you buy a game, especially if it's over $30, you expect like a quite a bit of hours to be invested in that game, whether it's an RPG, FPS, whatever, right? With movies, it's just like, all right, 2 hours, 2.5, whatever. If it's someone cool, you might get 3 hours, but like what to expect going into a movie. If it's a horror movie, it's an hour and a half because trash.
And it's trash.
Yeah. So, but with games, it's like that's another thing that's really tough. It's like, especially with RPGs, in my opinion, is how do I be like, this is the best story and gameplay, and do it in the same like length as a movie trailer. It's tough.
Yeah, that's right. Especially like a movie has the luxury of basically advertising a singular story, but
Yeah.
if you're talking about like The Witcher 3, for example, it doesn't have one story. It's got loads.
Right.
Like even the side quests are pretty well written.
Yeah.
So like you can't do a trailer for every side quest. I mean, like they usually do it about the main quest, but there's more to it than that.
You're right. That's very accurate. Okay, so why don't we get into some videos and such?
Are we going to play the trailer now?
Yeah, I think we might as well. So
Cool, mate.
look who it is, dude. There's Darren. That's the man, the myth, the legend that I was telling you about earlier.
He's the coda man, is he? He's the wizard.
He is the wizard, exactly. So anyway, we'll watch the trailer super quick. So, is this...
I'm jealous of that monitor setup he's got there. That's
he has a nice monitor setup. That's for sure.
Hell of a setup.
He was trying to get me on the stand game for a while, and
like I've got a triple monitor setup, but like it's really dodgy. They're three different screens. One of them's a TV, and I don't have. There's just sort of laid out horizontally.
Okay.
I don't have one on top of the other two like that. That's cool.
Yeah, mine's a bit strange as well. I have like two 27-inch monitors like here and here, and then like just like a, I don't know, whatever monitor, 24-inch or 23-inch on the side. But it's definitely a bit strange. But let's go ahead and watch the trailer. So here we That's so good, dude. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
I kind of cringed when I'm watching it. There's a shot, like it was put together quite hastily actually. Okay. There's a shot sort of at the start where the camera is like panning up going into the village.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look down the road, there's a tree that's hovering.
Oh, really?
And it's like I worked for like, a day on that. I didn't even notice it. I rendered several.
Oh, I do see it.
I rendered like no one's ever pointed it out, so I might be the only one who's noticed it. But it annoys me.
Now everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone knows the secret's out. I fixed it now. That tree. Actually, I don't know if that tree even exists anymore. I may have deleted it.
R.I.P. to the tree, man.
The tree has been cut down for its sins.
It wronged you. I mean, I don't think that's anything that anyone would notice. I mean, it's pretty
Probably not.
obvious, but you know, the cat's out of the bag now for sure.
Yeah, everyone knows.
We know, chat. We know. But
I mean, it's like that sometimes. Like I've seen floating trees in AAA games before.
oh yeah, it happens.
Like it happens a lot in Far Cry. I was
Oh, yeah.
playing recently. Got a PS4. I was
Okay.
playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I've seen a bunch of floating trees in that one. Some floating grass.
Maybe
you know,
maybe you make it a part of the story somehow, dude.
Yeah. I mean that would be a interesting
Yeah.
sci-fi element. Floating trees.
Yeah, it'd be something a little strange. Like that's one of those things that's like a glitch gone right. You know what I mean? Like it's the
It's
thing that
the
that you-
Bethesda motto of like it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, exactly. Floating trees. Sometimes it just be like that. Yeah, that's true.
It do be that way sometimes. I think the reason one of them is floating is because that's actually a bunch of trees. Like the asset is actually 3 trees together.
Ah,
So like
okay.
I aligned 2 of them and thought, yeah, that's good enough, and didn't realize the third tree was
Yeah,
floating.
right. Yeah.
Oh well.
It'll happen. I mean, not like Bob Ross says, you know, we don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents.
Exactly.
uh, that trailer is really well put together. Did you make that yourself?
I did.
That's phenomenal.
It was a really tedious process though, because I very quickly learnt the sequencer part of Unreal, which is used for like rendering cutscenes and stuff.
Right.
So that trailer is technically speaking pre-rendered. It's not running in real time,
Right.
and boy, that's a really tedious process.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like,
it can be a lot.
because like you're editing it, and there's probably a way to see a real time like preview of it, but I don't know. Like I said, I hastily learnt it.
Mhm.
So basically every time I wanted to see the results of an edit, I had to re-render the thing. So that trailer took me like a week and a half to like shoot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was mostly edited in Unreal because of that. Like the whole thing is just one long sequence in the
Yeah.
sequence.
Oh, excuse me. That's the way to do it, dude. That's the way to do it. Definitely. Gosh, I'm using my phone to like read like, you know, questions and stuff like that I had, and it keeps going to sleep on me.
What a traitor.
So, oh my gosh, they're popping off behind me. Sorry about that. But oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, so I kind of wanted to talk about, so like we've hit on this a little bit, right, with like your past and you know your projects that you started in high school, but specifically for The Wall, what is your kind of inspiration behind it, without giving up too much story, you know, whatever you want to.
I thought about this a lot. I'm not even entirely sure where the idea came from. I like every time I try to think back where I could have possibly have gotten the idea for The Wall was like I was watching a trailer for one of those shitty Divergent movies.
Yeah.
I've never seen those movies, but I watched one of the trailers and like, you know, one of the people were like talking about like no one knows what's on the other side of that wall. I don't even know if that's the plot, but that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
You know, like they were talking about a wall and it's like, that sounds pretty mysterious. And like, I just started thinking about that for, you know, like a year. And like it sort of evolved in my head into an entire world. And like, you know, it's picked up themes along the way and ideas. You know, I mean, like it started off as literally just there's a wall. That's
Yeah.
that was the very basic thing. Is there was a wall, but later on, I mean, like in terms of gameplay, um, I came up with the idea for the gameplay when I did a Harry Potter marathon.
Oh.
And
Okay.
by the time I got to Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, there's like a scene where there's like a bunch of muggles with guns, and I was like, what would that war look like?
Yeah.
Like wizards fighting muggles.
Mhm.
A lot of people say that's not an even fight, but like I disagree.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you can, as long as you design, if you limit them and buff them in the right way, you can make a fairly even fight.
Oh yeah.
So
I think
that was
so.
sort of the. I mean, I guess I should get into this now. Spoiler alert: the thing on the other side of the wall is like an advanced civilization, or like a modern civilization similar to modern day Earth. So
Damn.
they've got guns, but they don't have magic.
Mm.
So there's one side has magic. They're very primitive. Well, it's raining.
Wow.
That never happens. So yeah, like there's the south of the wall, which is the area that I'm making for the game right now,
Okay.
is sort of your typical fantasy game, like Skyrim or The Witcher, right?
Right.
Sort of medieval fantasy. And on the other side of the wall is more like a modern sort of civilization. They've got big skyscrapers and cities, but they're limited in their technology as well. They've never been to the other side of the wall.
Right.
Right? They can't
Huh.
get over it. There's when we get into gameplay, I can sort of explain a bit better how the wall works. But yeah,
That's really cool though, just like on an like ideological level. Like this wall
yeah,
is literally the separation of like two completely different cultures. That's really interesting.
yeah, I find that very fascinating because, like, as you can imagine, there's going to be a point where these two cultures clash. They're going to meet up, and they may not be the best of friends.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, you look at history whenever an advanced civilization meets a more primitive one.
Mm-hmm.
Invasions happen, and the killing and the murders and the death. But these guys, they might be primitive, but they can defend themselves. They've got magic. They can light you on fire with their glowy sticks.
Yeah, that's a big difference for sure.
Yeah. So like,
yeah, that's a really cool concept though. You
Yeah.
heard it here first, boys. But yeah, I like that a lot actually. So you talked about getting into gameplay. Do you want to go ahead and do that?
we can start. Let's hope things don't fall apart.
Yeah, let's hope
Everything
for the best.
everything always falls apart when you show it off.
Yeah, nothing's gone incredibly wrong yet, so something's bound to happen. But we can go
Let's
ahead and
see.
whenever you're ready. I will
Turn
switch
on
over and
screen share.
yep, I think that's it. So then we just need to yeah, there it is. So just a bit of background on this. We're using Discord screen share, which only allows like I think 480p, 30 FPS, something like that. So it looks a lot better than this, I promise you. But
Oh, speaking of which, God, that video, YouTube has butchered the quality of that dev vlog.
oh really?
Yeah, well, at least when I watched it, it was very grainy.
Huh. Interesting. I'll have to watch
Looked
it
a lot
again.
better when I rendered it. I mean, it looks okay, I guess.
Yeah. The things that you notice.
Okay, so I'm playing this in the editor
Okay.
because it's just easier that way.
Sure. So gameplay. Here we go.
Right, so right now we're just sort of at the end of a bridge here. this is sort of the outermost limits of sort of the developed open world. Everything in that in that direction is just grasslands.
Right.
So we're heading into.
Sorry, the water looks phenomenal. We were talking about that a bit off stream. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So like this is a pretty cool asset that I got. I forget what its official name is, but it's a river tool that generates flow maps. So if you put an object in the water, it'll generate foam around it, the way you would see in a fast river. So yeah, we can look up here a little bit. We've got waterfalls. I mean, that's not part of the river tool. That's just me putting particles down.
Ah, it looks surprisingly good.
Yeah, I mean, level design is what I've been doing for
right. Very fair.
the 5 to we're coming up on 6 years at this point.
Jeez.
Of level design. It's actually raining pretty hard out there. Anyway, back to it. So yeah, water. I do love good water porn.
Oh yeah.
I really love
oh yeah.
good water effects.
Yes.
We won't talk about the ocean. The ocean's kind of shit these days. I had to replace it.
I saw in your video. Yeah, I didn't think it looked as bad.
I mean, it looks alright.
Yeah.
You saw what I had before.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
So, damn, I kind of missed it. So, we're not on a planet, we're on a moon. So this isn't Earth or anything. This is its own planet, and it orbits a gas giant, which is what we're seeing up in the sky right now.
Okay.
I spent a long time figuring out the science behind this to create a scenario where a moon would basically be eclipsed by the planet every day. So I've gone into programs like Universe Sandbox.
Okay.
You may or may not be familiar with that, but it's like a simulator of celestial objects.
Mm-hmm.
This moon is on a polar orbit, so it goes sort of the exact opposite of what you would think an orbit would be. It's not around the equator of the gas giant. It's around the poles.
Right.
So if you stay here long enough, you'll see this gas giant sort of tumble through the sky. It has rings as well, but because it's currently in eclipse, you can't see them.
Wow.
So every day from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, there will be an eclipse. I'm planning on tying this into gameplay of, perhaps having some, monsters come out of the woodwork at this time. Perhaps. This may not even be something that stays in the game. I just thought it was pretty cool.
No, it's definitely pretty cool. You can see.
So
it's
starting to see.
Yeah.
The sun
Now I
coming back.
have a question for you while we're here. That line through the sky. I saw someone
Yes.
talking about that in your comments and thought
So
maybe
there was it's not actually just a line. There is a mesh there. It's might be hard to see. I don't know.
you can tell. Yeah.
So this is called the lesser wall. This is the ground-based wall that encompasses the entire planet. It goes around the equator,
Okay.
or the moon, I should say.
Right.
And this is called the greater wall, which is the sky-based wall. Because you might be wondering, there's a modern civilization on the other side of that wall. Fly a plane over it. It's not that high. You could easily do it.
Right.
There's this thing sort of generates a field that you can't penetrate, and you can't see over the other side of it. There's going to be an effect generated for that. Right now, you can actually see over the other side of it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the greater wall, and that's the lesser wall. And together, they sort of form the entire wall. The wall.
Yeah.
The titular wall.
Okay. Well, good to know. Guy in the comments.
So yeah.
There's your answer.
Yeah. I guess it does kind of just look like a line in the sky, but you can zoom in on it a bit. There's sort of spiky things on it.
Yeah, you can kind of see. But anyway,
Anyway.
I'll let you carry out what you were doing.
So we're heading into the only village I've got right now, called Iron Valley.
Yeah. Take us back.
This guy is a guard, I think. I hope they're behaving. They're meant to do like patrols along the wall.
Okay.
Not that wall. This wall.
The small.
This is just a wall, not the wall.
Not the wall. I gotcha. I'm following.
So yeah, like I've got, I don't know how many NPCs exactly, but I've got a bunch of them. Eventually they'll have dialogue, but only one of them does right now.
Okay.
They have terrible names. I'm terrible at naming things.
Honestly, you can't even really tell his name. So.
Oh, so his name is Doric Ironforge.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
I love it.
If I was called Doric, I wouldn't be very pleased with it.
Fair.
Is this a guard? Who are you? This is Jim. So Jim has a bit of a lore. This is basically the first NPC I ever thought up. And he started off as a bit of a meme in a Discord that I had.
Interesting.
So in the very, very early days of development, he's shown up in devlogs before, I think. The enemy AI, just like the generic, I'm going to kill you AI, was called Jim, the Destroyer of Worlds.
What a great name.
And like he wants nothing more than to just kill everything he sees. And I locked him up into a cage, so he's just constantly angry there. This guy is not. This guy is named after Jim, the Destroyer of Worlds, but he's not.
Seems pretty
actually
peaceful.
The Destroyer of Worlds. Yeah, this is Jim Farskell.
Okay.
He was the mayor of a town that doesn't actually exist in the game yet, but it's called Jimstown. Again, I'm shit at naming things, but it
works.
Jim is the mayor of Jimstown. It makes sense. There's a guy on that hill. What is he doing over there? Okay, so the guards are not behaving.
He's a bit drunk. He's a bit drunk.
Yeah, they've just they're definitely getting fired. So yeah, Jim. Is this Jim? Yeah, this is Jim. You might be wondering why he's in Iron Valley and not in Jimstown.
Yeah,
so his village gets destroyed at the very start of the game. You actually will wake up in the ruins of Jimstown.
Oh.
So
Sorry,
he survived the attack on his town,
okay,
and has moved here and is now kind of just unemployed. He's just
wow.
walking around not doing much. I think I might have set him up to work at this mill here, this windmill. He lives in this house. But yeah, he may wander over to this windmill occasionally.
Okay.
So that might technically be his job, but I like to think of him as this just deadbeat, unemployed drunk now. He's hit rock bottom.
Yeah, rock bottom, dude.
Yeah, so he's probably got the most lore written around him than any other NPC in the game.
Okay.
Which isn't much, I'll admit, but
character.
yeah, he'll be a bit of a character.
Undoubtedly.
So let's go over. Let's give you a bit of a tour of the village.
Okay.
This is the blacksmith, where Doric lives and works.
Good old
he does have an apprentice. I'm not sure where he is. It's lunchtime, so Derek Forgehand.
Oh man, quite the duo.
Yes.
Truly.
So he lives here upstairs with Eric Yorland, who likes to stare at the wall for some reason. He'll be the shopkeeper once an economy has been implemented.
Right.
It's currently not.
He's admiring
yeah,
the texturing just as much as I am.
Yeah, it's like, nice.
Look at that.
So yeah, Derek just sort of comes home for lunch, and when it's no longer lunchtime, he'll return to work. When it's nighttime, a lot of people will show up to the inn.
Oh.
Keep in mind, a lot of these models are probably going to get replaced. Like, these are sort of... We were talking about, having to live with the work that you made when you were still learning programs. This was what I made when I was still learning Blender.
Okay.
But yeah, this is the inn. Harold works here. And he's the only one who has dialogue right now.
Oh.
And he actually has a quest for us. If we ask him if he's heard any rumors, he'll talk about some ruins not far from here that are full of bandits.
Okay.
And they're making life pretty hard for the hunters that hunt in that area.
Right.
So yeah, we can accept this quest, and we've now got a quest up there, and
Oh, nice. Okay.
we got to go over there, which is called Aftok Ruins. See, like, the top of the archways of those ruins. And yeah, it's a pretty simple quest. It's just kill everyone in there.
My favorite.
Yeah. The quest system is not up to scratch, really. I have an interesting idea to use behavior trees for a quest system.
Oh.
Might sound a little... got floating rocks here.
It'll happen.
Might be hard to... It do be that way sometimes.
Yeah, it really do be that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we would call the way of the road, right there.
Yes. So, yeah, I was thinking maybe I could make a quest system with behavior tree. I haven't looked too far into it, but from what I know of behavior tree from making the AI, there's really no reason you couldn't do it. It might be a bit of an odd use for the behavior tree, but
yeah.
I don't think there's any laws against it, so
definitely not.
I'm going to give it a go.
Be interesting.
Oh, you know what? I think I know why these shadows are dark. I might be able to fix this real quick. Do I have... Sorry, we're just doing a bit of a pause.
Hey, live debugging.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I was using the fast skylight, which doesn't generate shadows very well.
Right.
There we go. Look at that. Proper lighting.
Gotta love it.
I was wondering why everything looks so shit.
It's very menacing, to say the least.
Yeah, the frame rate's kind of dropped a bit. Oh boy. So these ruins were being studied by some archaeologist type people from what is essentially Hogwarts. You know what? I might save real quick and see if reloading fixes this frame rate issue.
Oh, maybe.
It may just be AI. Let's hope not. So yeah, I've got something that's kind of like Hogwarts. Not Hogwarts. More like what's it called? The College of Winterhold in Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
You know,
okay.
it's like full of intellectual wizard folk people. Yeah, it's running a little better.
Yes,
So they were studying this, but because the country's in a bit of a time of war right now, they've been called to more important duties and have left this place pretty much abandoned. And bandits have moved in because this is a pretty nice place to hold up.
Definitely. Little compound.
Oh boy, I'm already being shot at. Alright, so the bandits have spotted me. At least one of them.
if you want more information about these different types of attacks, you can check out his latest dev blog.
Yeah,
Old Buffy
this is all
said, "Fuck him up."
freshly. That's what I'm doing.
Mission accomplished so far.
Do I have the Fuss Rodar? Let's see if I can knock this guy on his ass.
Oh,
There we go.
Damn, dude, rocked him.
Oh, I died.
Oh no, dude. Oh no. Unfortunate.
Oh well.
It'll happen.
It will happen. It do be that way sometimes.
There is a running trend, it seems, that of this show, that developers are getting beat by their own games pretty consistently.
Well, I consider that a good thing.
Yeah, at least you know.
I mean, like, I developed it, and I should know every way to kill these guys. So,
right,
if they can kill me, they must be doing their job.
exactly.
So we've got a ranged bandit over here.
Here we go. Uh-oh, took a little damage. Uh-oh.
Oh, you know what? Let's knock him into the river. Oh, I didn't knock him over.
Just hit him down.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Ah.
Do you have a healing potion?
Oh, bloody hell. Yep.
Oh, you do. Nice. Quite a lot of items there.
Yeah, we'll look at that once I kill this guy.
We can talk about that, the inventory system as well.
Yeah.
He's got that shield.
Ah. He runs away if his health is low.
Oh, okay.
So, like, one of the things I wanted to have... Oh, there's more of them.
Whoa.
One of the things I wanted to have was the AI have a sense of self-preservation.
Right.
They don't just sort of mindlessly attack you with no thought for the consequences of it.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the self-preservation things are like, you know, they'll block with their shield. You know, that's sort of the standard thing.
Right.
Other things are he'll strafe from side to side.
Okay.
To avoid attacks. And yeah, if his health is low, he'll run away. And also, if they're part of a squad, they don't necessarily have to be part of a squad, they can be on their own. But if they're part of a squad and their leader is killed, the skirmishers and the grunts will run away. Because they're like, oh shit, it's all over, you know.
Wow.
The boss man's dead.
Okay. So there's some interaction there between...
Yeah, well, I wanted you to be able to strategize around it. So there's a benefit to killing the leader first, even though he has the most health.
Mm-hmm.
If you do kill him, everyone's running away from you now. They're not doing any damage to you, so you can shoot at some of them and get some kills.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you choose not to do that, if you choose to kill all the little guys first, well, then you'll have the leader to deal with, because he's going to be really pissed off at you. He's going to be running faster and hitting harder because he's going to be berserking.
Mm-hmm.
And I reckon he's up there. He hasn't been part of the fight, but he's sort of in, like, the boss man's quarters. I'll just drink a magic potion real quick.
There you go. Gotta get ready.
Oh, one thing I didn't even show in the dev blog. I actually have some reactive water. Oh, well, that's awkward. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, forget I said anything.
Someday.
Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, I think I do actually. I might be able to turn it on later. So this guy's going to have a lot more health, so he's going to be a bit of a boss fight.
Okay.
We might
There you go.
do a quick save, even. Here he is. And yep, he's pissed off.
Man.
You see he's got
he's popping off a little bit there.
He might not be able to tell because of the shit quality of the screen share, but
Right.
he's got a crown next to his name, which sort of signifies he's the leader.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that there's an object.
There's something yellow there.
Yeah.
So
there you go, dude.
you can have oh dear.
Uh-oh.
Work in progress, guys.
Yeah.
He figured it out.
Oh, he buffed
What a
it out.
twist. I've nearly got him.
Oh,
He's nearly got me.
got you. He's quick. There you go.
Oh, I got him again.
There it is. Nice.
Oh, did he kill me?
Wait, what?
What? I don't know, I'm dead.
I think he wrecked you, dude, somehow.
Well, I mean, that was weird.
I'm unsure.
Well, he's dead now.
Interesting.
You can take his stuff. He's got a pretty nice sword on him.
Okay.
Well, I guess now we can talk about the inventory system.
Yeah, why not?
Man, it's really pissing down with rain. So, this hasn't really seen many updates at all this year, really, but it's fairly functional right now.
Yeah.
I've sort of color-coded things. I like the colors in some inventories that, will color-code the rarity.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I like opening up a chest and seeing a purple item and go, "Oh, that's special."
Right. Definitely.
So, like, we've got this cleaver here, which is purple.
Mm-hmm.
It does 300 damage, which is a lot more than the sword I have currently, which only does 80 damage.
Oh wow. That explains how he was kind of tearing you up a little bit.
Oh yeah, well he's meant to do a lot of damage.
Right.
He's sort of the heavy hitter. So we'll equip his sword because it's really nice. We've got some categories that we can like sort 3 different kinds of items. So this is just all of the items you've got. I can sort the weapons. I've only got one other weapon really. Armor. It's just a lot of clothes really. Potions, food, and miscellaneous. We'll get into the glowing orbs in a bit.
Yeah, that definitely piqued my interest before.
They're a sort of useful item, and I'll talk about the design of them in a bit. I'll show you I don't think the quest actually worked, to be honest, because it still says I haven't killed any bandits, but I can show you the quest journal.
Okay.
So it's pretty standard stuff, really. Like it's, you've got the description of the quest. It'll tell you, what you're meant to be doing, your objectives, and it also tells you the rewards you'll get. So I think red isn't as good as purple. I'm not sure. You can't actually look at the stats of them, but I don't have anything red in here to compare it to.
Right.
But yeah, we can you can track the quests and you can abandon them. We'll abandon them because it didn't work anyway.
Yeah.
Quests sucked.
Failed.
But yeah.
Nah.
Oh, actually, there might be something that's red over here. So like this was just something I improvised much of my level design. I just sort of, pick an area and
See
start
what
building
fits.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good way to do
so
it.
it's become night time now by the looks of things. So like I didn't really know what to put at the end of this whole dungeon, I guess.
Yeah.
So basically just put a shrine with a sword and a stone.
Oh, a little
Hey, it is a
Excalibur.
red one.
Okay, nice.
I've got a glass sword here. It's not as good as my purple one,
Right,
but it's worth more. So like the color is based on the value of it, like the money value.
Right.
So you look at this one, it's 700,
Mm-hmm.
and this one's worth 900. So red is apparently more than purple. And I think gold is probably the most. Yes,
Oh, wow.
this one's worth 11,000. These things are very valuable. But chances are you won't be selling them because they're quite important.
Gotcha. Some lore.
Lore. There's somebody asking for lore, are they?
I've seen quite a few people asking about some lore from your YouTube videos and Discord. We got them a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about Jim and the greater and lesser wall.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys want to know? I mean, there's certain things I don't really want to talk about. I want to keep some things secret. But
maybe keep it a secret for now.
Yeah.
Basic.
So yeah, we've only got one kind of wand in the game right now, the basic wand. For whatever reason, the wand I've got like a little developer area behind the wall, where I just pick up all of the items I want to do for my play session.
Right.
The wand there doesn't have the same kind of wand as this. Actually, no, it's not. One's called wand and one's called basic wand. Huh. Well, let's have the one with the icon on it.
There you go.
All right. So we got a better view at the planet we're orbiting now. It's a big old gas giant with some Saturn-styled rings. It's also got some other moons that orbit it.
That's really cool. That just looks so cool, dude.
I think there's 3 of them. Yeah, there's one over there.
Oh yeah, you can see it out there.
You can't see much detail on it. Like, you probably can't see anything, but like even in 1080p you can't see much. But one of them is Pluto. It's not in the lore. It's not Pluto, but I figured I need a texture for a planet, so I use Pluto.
Sure.
Because Pluto is an interesting looking planet.
Definitely.
One of them is it's a very Earth-like planet. It's kind of green and it's got oceans.
Okay.
Not sure if that one's visible. So that planet may be habitable. But who knows?
We'll see.
In terms of the guys on the other side of the wall, the more advanced fellas, they basically have no space program because of the Greater Wall.
Right.
This thing extends way into space.
Okay.
So like it goes way higher than any satellite you would normally put into orbit. So like any rocket they've tried to launch just ends up crashing into it. So theoretically they could get something over the Greater Wall, but it would require a lot of firepower in their rocket.
Interesting. Okay.
So let me show you the portals.
Yes.
Which act as the fast travel system. I didn't really talk about it in the dev blog, but these have actually been updated a bit.
Okay.
In terms of their materials. I may just change it back to daytime so you can see it a bit better.
Sweet.
Because it is a little dark for everyone watching. Oh.
Oops.
Well, that failed. Let's just do a quick one of these.
There you go.
It's probably going to eclipse pretty soon, but it's pretty early morning. So yeah, this is like the fast travel system in the game.
Nice.
And I have a big problem with the way fast travel is done in a lot of games. So many games like Skyrim or Assassin's Creed or whatever will just let you fast travel anywhere, anytime, from any place for free. And it's like, why the hell did you go to the effort of making this open world if you're going to make a mechanic that skips over it all?
Yeah.
That's... like Skyrim's pretty well developed in the way that you have random encounters when you're walking around. You can't go for more than a couple minutes walking down a road without having, a thief show up and call you a milk drinker and, try and steal all your money, or some assassins that have been hired by somebody you've wronged. Or, Mike the liar is sitting there talking about how he's a dragon or something. And it's like that's great stuff, but you don't see any of that if you fast travel. And the thing is, they actually have a good system in there. They actually have 2 fast travel systems. They've got the carriages outside every city that you can go to and you can pay, and they'll take you there. I was like, why didn't you just keep that? Why have you got... Like, you would never use the carriage system once you've gone to a place. The only time I've ever used it is to, I can't be bothered walking to Riften.
Yeah. Very true.
And I haven't been there yet, so I'll get the carriage to take me there. So anyway, this is basically my way of fixing that problem. Yeah. So you can't fast travel from anywhere, so you're not just going to get a quest and go, all right, I'm going to teleport to where I need to be. All right, you actually have to go find one of these things, and there's a cost to it. Right, you can't just do it all the time. So if you're traveling somewhere close, you're probably not going to use this because it's quite expensive. It's just like, well, I'll walk.
Yeah.
And that encourages the random encounters to happen. So, we're not, completely invalidating the point of an open world.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Got the eclipse happening.
I like that.
And also you have to go to the place that you need to fast travel to discover it. Right. So these things, I don't know if you've ever heard of the show called Stargate.
Yes. Yeah. And
yeah.
These
things are heavily inspired by Stargate.
Okay.
In fact, they look more like a Stargate now than ever. But every portal has an address. You can see here. These are actually the address.
Oh wow!
Digit things. So there's sort of like it's not a language. It's just a font, really. Yeah. Like I type in English words, and it will translate it to these sorts of symbols. Gotcha. I can show you more of them in a bit. These are just numbers. If you know an address and haven't been there, so there's a little more depth to it than just you have to travel by foot to every place you've ever been to, right? You may hear from a traveler, you may talk to somebody and he'll give you an address, and you can type it in here and you can dial it even if you've never been there before.
That's very sweet.
And also, it remembers all of the locations you've been to.
Right.
We'll go to West Harbour, which is just the beach right now. There's really nothing there, but this is what the glowing orbs are for. These are pretty rare items that you'll occasionally pick up off of people who've also found them. You'll find them in certain dungeons, and you'll find them around the place, but they're pretty rare.
Right.
and it costs you 1 glowing orb to use the portal.
And there it goes, firing up. Oh, whoa.
So yeah, we've got the portal. I've got a problem with this where makes the crosshair all fucked up. If I walk on this thing, I cannot for the life of me figure out why it does this. Like as soon as I step off of it, it's fine.
That's
It's pretty weird.
an interesting bug.
So I don't know if you've seen sort of older dev blogs, but this didn't always look like this. You could actually see the other side of the portal, like from the game Portal.
Yeah,
Right.
I did.
You know that effect.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool. There's a pretty good reason why it's not in any open world games.
Yeah.
Or really any games that aren't Portal. It's because it's a really tough thing to render. Like it kills your frames a lot. So unfortunately, I've had to replace it with this sort of watery looking event horizon.
I think it still looks good though.
I do too. It creates a pretty cool glowing effect on the sort of wetter parts of the platform. But it's real time. There's no load screens when you travel through these.
Wow.
So it's seamless.
Oh wow.
Basically.
That's badass.
So this gate has a different address.
Right.
At least I hope it does. We should go back and have a look. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you ever come across them, you can write them down. You know, like maybe you'll find one in a book. You know, I've got plans like there'll be dungeons that aren't accessible from the overworld. Like there's just no entrance, right? And you'll like read a lore book or something, and all of a sudden you'll come across, you know, some etchings in the margin, and it looks like a gate address. You can type that in, and you go through, and it's like an underground cave or something that has a portal in it.
Yeah.
And the portal sort of winds down when you shut it down.
Huh.
And now we're just on a beach.
That's really cool, man. It works really well. Like, holy cow. That's very impressive.
It took me a really long time to make that. Like, just putting the orb into the dial device took me like a few days to get right, because like the inventory is one of those things that I made when I was still learning.
Right.
So there's like a lot of old code that needs to be optimized with this.
Sure.
So like just having this pop up when you're in a dial device was hard.
Yeah.
And then like putting it in, and then like what if I close it? Does it give me back the orb? I mean, it does, because I've made it do that now, but that was a surprisingly challenging thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's nothing really out here. I just wanted to demonstrate the portal. So we're going back to Iron Valley, and I'll show you sort of, it's kind of a dungeon. It's not, it needs work now, but
okay.
There's some interesting stuff with the lore. I don't know if I'll talk about it, but maybe you can figure some stuff out. Maybe people will make some theories about it. That'd be nice.
Oh, that'd be nice. The whole theory crafting. Gotta love it.
So I might talk about, we were talking about this before the stream. Not all of these assets are assets that I've made. I don't really have the skills to do really good assets like these rocks or trees. And also I don't have the time. If I spent all my time making these rocks, I wouldn't have any programming.
Yeah.
So
understandable.
A lot of them are from just free asset packs I got off the marketplace. Like these rocks are actually a really new addition to the to the game. These were using much uglier rocks before.
Those are phenomenal.
And we can zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
Have a look. I mean, like, some of them... This is from a cliff pack that recently came out, like, this month.
Oh, wow.
And this one is from the Kite demo assets, which have been out for ages.
Right.
The ruins, Aftok ruins that we went to earlier, they use a mixture of Paragon assets and actually some Infinity Blade assets, which work surprisingly well together.
Yeah.
So we're heading into...
They didn't.
What's that?
They didn't used to. They used to be a real sketch when used together.
Yeah.
But
so we're heading into Iron Valley Mine now.
Okay.
Hopefully, if I've done it properly, the thing in the corner should change to Iron Valley Mines at some... Okay, it's just changed to Wilderness. And then to Iron Valley. I don't know what's going on with that. That's something that was recently implemented. It's sort of the thing that tells you your location.
Right.
I mean, it's half right. It just needs to have the word mines on the end.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a mixture of mine shafts and caves. That, like, this is like a naturally forming cave. But like what we just went through was a mine shaft.
Right.
It's recently been closed down due to something being found at the end of a new mine shaft that they recently started digging. So a lot of the miners in the village are quite upset because they're basically out of the job right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's been like this for a little while. They'll eventually... I'll probably fill this with
sounds like a quest.
people. It is a quest. It'll be a very important part of the main quest, actually.
Okay. Hell yeah.
So there's a chest here.
Ooh.
There's a turkey leg, a rusty scythe. We'll just take it. Why not?
Yeah, might as well.
So I don't know if I actually named it before, but that College of Winterhold type place is called the Helios Institute.
Oh, I don't think you did, but that's
well, there we go.
Good to know.
So they're the ones who've basically closed down the mines and are down here investigating what they found. So this is what they found.
Oh.
This rather mysterious metallic-looking door.
Uh-oh.
We can go in.
Well, that doesn't look like
a mine.
A mine.
But as you can see, there's you'll see barrels and crates and things throughout this area from people from the Institute.
Damn. Well, that's... spoilers, by the way. No, but that's pretty sick, dude.
I don't think I've showed this off, but you can actually pick up objects.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah.
You can do that with inventory items as well.
Okay.
And drop a bit of bread.
There it is.
You pick it up.
Do you have any plan to integrate that into the gameplay at all?
I'd like to do I'd like to have puzzles where you sort of lift things and move them around.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right now, it's nothing more than a novelty, really. But
right.
Nice it's there.
Yeah, nice to have for sure. The wall VR is gonna be sick. Picking up blocks and stuff, dude.
I mean, I'm not against the idea, but I don't know how well it would be done.
Yeah, it'd be tough. It would be tough for sure.
Oh yeah. So we're talking about that language. These are like the actual letters of that language.
Okay.
It's translatable because, like I said, it's basically just a font. Translates English characters to this.
Right.
So if you figure out what each of these symbols mean, you can actually find out what this means.
Gonna have to do some research.
Yes. So this is sort of. This was the intro of my dev blog.
Is this the TARDIS?
This is the TARDIS. This is exactly what it was
Okay.
inspired by.
I like you went in and I was like, yep, yep, that's
Yep.
that for sure. Okay.
I just love that set so much.
Oh,
That was
so
like
good.
it was
so
the
good.
best TARDIS set.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's about. But there will be something in here in this thing that I'm looking at right now. It'll be sort of a force field thing that you'll have to collect. It'll be part of the quest. It's not set up yet, obviously, but some more. I don't even know what this says anymore. I wrote it so long ago. Probably just says your mum gay or something.
Probably.
Who knows?
Super fitting. Super fitting.
So yeah, you get the impression that people have been spending quite a lot of time around here.
Definitely. It does
a lot of things that have been moved in.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Steel Link helmet in here. We can put that on. It's like the first bit of... Oh, I can also put gloves on. Let's do that.
There you go. Kit it out now.
Yeah, boy. Got some gloves and a helmet. I don't even know what would spawn in these things. It's like completely random. So it's a surprise to even me.
RNGesus, please be on our side.
Exactly.
This room is sick, dude.
This is one of my favorite rooms in the game right now. It's also probably one of the hardest to run because of all of the dynamic lights.
Yeah, right.
Optimizations need to be done, but that's future Steven's problem.
Yeah, exactly. It'll happen eventually.
So yeah, that's. I'll probably have like an extra exit at some point. Like there'll be a door down there, because like a good dungeon wouldn't make you backtrack. You don't want to go through everything you just went through
again. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's annoying. Like a good dungeon will have like a
quick exit.
a quick exit. Right. You don't want to be in there. Oh, the location thing has updated to unknown. Because I mean the idea around it is the location in the corner is like based upon what your character knows. Right. Your character doesn't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
So that's why it says unknown.
Right.
But yeah, this might hint at sort of the bigger picture of what the planet we're on is. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see where this goes. Because I'm interested.
I think that's probably about all of the open world that is like interesting. I mean, we can fly around a bit now.
Sure. Maybe just fly up and.
Maybe you want to sort of better view it.
Okay.
The layout of that dungeon.
Wow. There you go.
My plan is to eventually have this. I want to use level streaming so I can hide this entire level when I'm not in it.
Right. Yeah.
And then like I'd probably unload the overworld once I get in, which would probably help a lot for performance.
Yeah, probably.
Just
especially
wait
when
for
you're doing some of the stuff that you are. I imagine it'd help quite a bit.
Yeah. So you'll do a bit of a bird's eye view of the world, I guess.
Yeah, that is so sick.
So I haven't really talked about this much, but like the whole plan for the game right now is, I'm not planning for a Steam release for this. This is basically a prototype,
Right.
to help fund the actual development of the game. It's like,
Yep.
you look at like a lot of the Kickstarters and Indiegogos for games. A lot of them is just like, I have no idea how to develop a game, but I got a pretty good idea for one. Give me $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like some of the slightly better ones will show some concept art, but really, who cares?
Yeah.
Really, what I hope is my best shot at a successful Kickstarter would be to have a free, playable, small chunk of the game
Yep.
readily available at the time of the Kickstarter campaign. So when that's done, that will be released on itch.io, which
Okay. Yep.
I chose that because it's got a good system for updates. You don't have to release the entire game every time. It'll just replace the files that you've modified.
Mm-hmm.
So when this is this area of the game is just sort of the small chunk, the actual open world that I want to make, the game that I want to make, is probably, it's a hell of a lot bigger. I don't know exactly how big, but like there's a hint of terrain over here in the distance.
Okay.
It's just, generic distance terrain.
Sure.
But in sort of the hypothetical full game that would release on Steam that was made by talented developers and stuff, you would be able to get a boat and sail over there.
Right.
And that would also be a whole open world. And there would be a whole open world on the other side of the wall. That's way too much for one guy to make. So,
agreed. Yeah.
So this is what I'm sticking to, is just this small chunk, which is probably one of the smallest open worlds I've ever made. I've made much bigger than this in CryEngine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much more manageable, right? I can make it a lot more dense and a lot more interesting looking.
Yeah. That's
so yeah.
a big key too, is, it can be this big expansive world, but if it's barren, what's really the point besides frame drop,
My idea for it was like, I'd rather small and dense rather than large and not much in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just the prototype that will be released for free, hopefully sometime in the first quarter of 2019.
Sweet.
And it will be updated as it goes along. Like, once I consider it playable, it'll be put on itch.io, but it won't be finished, and I'll update it as it goes along to keep people interested. You can feed content into it as it goes.
Yeah, I look forward to playing it. So definitely, I will stay in touch on the Discord. Excuse me, on the Discord to see when that goes live, because I look forward to playing it.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be within the next few months, but there's still a lot to do, and maybe I'm really overestimating my abilities.
Maybe. Either way,
who knows?
I know people are excited. I've seen it. I know I am. But definitely, I would recommend not rushing it, because you wanna make sure that it's as complete as it can be. Because that's kind of part of the key, is like, if you release something and it's unplayable, 5 FPS, you don't accomplish your goal, which is get hype for the big, the big.
I definitely want it to be, 60 FPS, playable and fun. It's got to be fun, or else who the hell gives a shit?
Very true.
And I think that makes a pretty good statement. Like, this is what I could make on my own. Imagine what I could make if I had actual funding
Yeah.
with talented developers working on this full time.
Exactly.
Hopefully that creates a successful Kickstarter one day. We'll see.
It will. I think you have everything there for what you need. I think it's definitely a very, very strong start.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people agree with me, but I'm interested to see.
Is there anything else you want me to show off? Questions you want to ask?
I think I'm fairly content. If you want to plug your stuff, and then we can call it a show. So you got the YouTube, the Discord.
Yeah, a recently launched Discord server. It's got a few people coming in from it from the dev blog already.
Yep.
If you want to ask me any questions about the game there, you can. I'm kind of slow with my video updates, so the idea is the Discord. I can show you screenshots and maybe short clips of the game as I'm working on it. You'll get a lot more frequent updates from there. And there's a lot more interaction going on the Discord.
There you go.
There's also my unfortunately named channel, Joe Kickass, where I put those dev blogs and occasionally a trailer. And also, like anything else I'm working on, I occasionally do game jams and, small distraction projects.
Right. You always need at least a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So like Steven was saying, check out his YouTube. You can see it right below me, right there, is the title. If you search it, it'll pop up. Definitely check that out. He posts content there in relation to this game and other stuff. So there's some really good stuff on there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And you can also find the link to his Discord in his last video. So if that's something that you're interested in, check the check the description of his last video, and you can find a link to the Discord to get some new information. But anyway, Steven, I appreciate you coming out. I'm gonna wrap up the stream, and then I will get it exported to YouTube. So hopefully I'll get a link for you sometime.
No worries.
I'd assume. But
cool.
But yeah. Anyway, thanks again, Steven, for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
No worries.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So there we go. That was the second episode of this new series that we're trying out, the Indie Showcase. If you are interested, if you're a developer or a watcher, if you're a watcher, hit the follow button. We're going to keep doing this. I already have, I think, another game lined up, hopefully here pretty soon. If you're a developer and you'd like to be on the show, definitely reach out to me through anything and I will respond. But anyway, thanks for everyone that came out. Let me shout out the followers again. Gavin Buckmeyer is ugly. Old Bucky 20, Joel Meister, Chop, Salmons01, and Frost Crit. Thank you guys for the follow. I hope you guys stick around and check out some of the other really low tier content that I provide here on this channel. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming out.